What? Very weird. All right. We are going to read the Gospel of Thomas. I'm stoked for this. Why is that like that? Uh-oh. Ghost. David. Mikkel. All right, give me 1 second here. There we go. What a pain. Fellas, much love and many blessings. Having you all in my life. Happy and lovely weekend. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. I suppose you'd say. S. Mill. David, I made it. I was traveling and drove fast to get here on time, but fast for me is below the speed limit. Very well. I can also envision that. Yeah. That is not hard to picture, David. Totally something a Fed would do. Okay. Sorry. Weird technical stuff. Wonderful. Wonderful. Beautiful. Lovely. So, the Gospel of Thomas. Fair warning, and I've kind of given a bit of fair warning along the way, but fair warning is there's some oddities in it. And so then there's a question. I guess I'll lay it out like this. Much of this text will make perfect sense, and it's in absolute alignment with the things we already read, that all Christians already read. And a lot of it, you're going to be like, yes, that makes sense. That's in alignment. That is not new or different in any way. But then there will be points, a few points, where you might be very confused and have a lot of questions. And there is a theory. How much you buy into the theory is up to you. But there is a theory that some things were added to this text to make it exactly that, to push people away from it, because it sheds light on certain things that what became canon did not. We've talked about a lot, I feel like, over the past year or so, the idea that it seems over time, the spiritual nature of a lot of scripture got pulled out. It seems like it was kind of dulled down in that sense. This is another kind of similar example. So one of the things to keep in mind is one of the important things about the Gnostic perspective, which was the secret teaching aspect, where there's a belief and there's a lot of verses in the canon. Kat and I have been reading a lot of them recently, where it blatantly says that, I speak in parables so that they don't understand me. And then I'll tell you guys this stuff in private. There's a lot of that's in the canon, it's in the Gospels. That there was some backroom teaching going on. How you choose to interpret it, obviously the mainstream Christians have come up with a lot of very, very coherent answers to what those verses meant and all that jazz. But to keep in mind while we read something like this, that secret teaching is a theory, a prominent theory, and was a very prominent theory in the Gnostic realm of things. So, with all that in mind, one theory that I mentioned is that some weird stuff was added to this, potentially. Because if it wasn't, it'd be hard to not canonize it. And they didn't want it canonized because it sheds more light on the secret nature of the teaching. It sheds more light on more Gnostic principles and things like that, and they couldn't have that. I'm not pushing it. I'm not saying even that's what I believe. I'm just saying it's a theory. So this is the text of the Gospel the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Gnostics. Let's try to make sense of the oddities. We're all lovely oddities. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Yes, I do. Ghosts of the Backroom teachings were obviously good enough to make martyrdom not all that scary. See, that's a great point. That's a beautiful point. TikTok people, I recommend going to YouTube or Rumble, so you can see the screen and the text, and be with all the lovely people on YouTube. So, Gospel of Thomas. This is the scholars version. There's another version as well that's pretty popular, but this is the one I've always read. It's the one I like. If you're interested, then go read. I believe there's at least one other pretty prominent translation, but this one's good. It's tried and true, in my opinion. So the prologue. These are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke, and Didymus Judas Thomas recorded. This means twin, just so you know. Didymus Judas, and that's a whole rabbit hole in and of itself if you ever get some time, or maybe we'll do it together. Verse 1. And he said, whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel and will rule over all. It even starts kind of heavy. Jesus said, if your leaders say to you, look, the Father's imperial rule is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the Father's imperial rule is inside you and outside you. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. And when you will understand that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you live in poverty, and you are the poverty. Remembering too, just added context, the Gnostic perspective is very against the physical, very much in promotion of the detached kind of spiritual emphasis on away from the material world. And so you could say a big underlying theme for all of this stuff is that concept of gnosis, the knowledge. So getting to know what's inside of you, what's outside of you. The knowledge is what unlocks you from the evil material world. Jesus said, the person old in days won't hesitate to ask a little child 7 days old about the place of life, and that person will live. For many of the first will be last and will become a single one. Jesus said, know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed to you. For there is nothing hidden that won't be revealed. An interesting note on verse 5 there is that there is a conflict with some of this stuff. Because in certain verses of a lot of these more Gnostic texts, we get verses like this, where it says, nothing will be hidden from you. And then, on the contrary, we get other verses that clearly say, much will be hidden from you. And so scholars, especially because the scholarly pool on these texts is very, very small compared to like the canon, there's no cohesive answer to any of it. But listening to scholars try to make sense of it and try to interpret it, like maybe this was in context of just these things and this was in context of those things, is very interesting. But it's never conclusive and it's very complicated. But there is an example of what is hidden from you will be disclosed to you. Know what is in front of your face, because what is hidden from you will be disclosed to you, for there is nothing hidden that won't be revealed. His disciples asked him and said to him,
Hey, Joe,
yes.
before you move to 6, do you think verse 5 could be in reference to death?
I think so, yes. I just wonder if it's that plain. But I guess, yeah, like foundationally, yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't be it. Probably.
It's not plain, but I get a death kind of, you know.
I think you're right. So like that's where I sit for sure. Because of what the Gnostics believe, I just wonder what the specific nature of it was. So I think death, yes, but then I think there's like a part 2 and a part 3 to actually understand what is being specifically talked about. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's about death. as like the foundation. I would be in that same camp for sure.
All right, cool, yeah.
The Rev. It's going to be difficult to understand the apocryphal books without understanding Revelation 27-9. Why do you say that? Would this be considered I guess, yeah. See, that's actually, I'm glad you said that, because that's an interesting point. So I feel like the Apocrypha has kind of been defined, but by definition, that's not true, just because of what Apocrypha means. So the Apocrypha has kind of like throughout history, and it's a great example of how culture kind of shapes things, even if they're not true. The Apocrypha has kind of been defined as, in my understanding, has been defined as the texts that the Protestant and Protestant adjacent Christians have rejected, but that the Catholic and some sects of Orthodox have accepted. When really just Apocrypha, it would encompass everything else. And I would say if we're talking like literally, it would definitely encompass the Gospel of Judas and the Gospel of Thomas and the Apocryphon of Peter. That's interesting. I'm glad you pointed that out. It shows that I have also been captured by cultural definitions. Go said the 1,000 years haven't started yet. What's that verse? You know, I avoid Revelation like the plague. So let me pull it up.
The verses he mentioned.
Oh, it's the quote. Okay. Gotcha. So, oh, right. So when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and beloved the city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. I guess I don't necessarily agree.
I don't see how that relates to the apocryphal thing. Maybe he can elaborate.
Yeah, Rev, if you're still here, explain more. Because I don't agree on its face, but maybe we're missing context from you on that. TikTok, go to YouTube or Rumble. You can't see anything. So verse 6, his disciples asked him and said to him, do you want us to fast? How should we pray? Should we give to charity? What diet should we observe? Jesus said, don't lie and don't do what you hate, because all things are disclosed before heaven. After all, there is nothing hidden that won't be revealed, and there is nothing covered up that will remain undisclosed. Jesus said, lucky is the lion that the human will eat, so that the lion becomes human. And foul is the human that the lion will eat, and the lion still will become human. And he said, the human one is like a wise fisherman who cast his net into the sea and drew it up from the sea full of little fish. Among them, the wise fisherman discovered a fine, large fish. He threw all the little fish back into the sea and easily chose the large fish. Anyone here with 2 good ears had better listen. Jesus said, look, the sower went out, took a handful of seeds, and scattered them. Some fell on the road, and the birds came and gathered them. Others fell on rock, and they didn't take root in the soil and didn't produce heads of grain. Others fell on thorns, and they choked the seeds, and worms ate them. And others fell on good soil, and it produced a good crop. It yielded 60 per measure and 120 per measure. Jesus said, I have cast fire upon the world, and look, I'm guarding it until it blazes. Jesus said, this heaven will pass away, and the one above it will pass away. The dead are not alive, and the living will not die. During the days when you ate what is dead, you made it come alive. When you are in the light, what will you do? On the day when you were 1, you became 2. But when you became 2, what will you do? It kind of sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. Okay, the Rev said, I say that because of the why behind the removal. The removal was necessary for the education system to exist. Current interpretations are formed from what we are taught first before Scripture. Ghost said, why was that necessary, though? Are you saying the revealed is referring to the Apocrypha? Rev said, well, yeah, I think the apocryphal books refer to things that cannot exist within our current understanding of reality. For you to believe what you believe, you have to be educated first. I guess I'm kind of confused. What education system are we talking about? Or are we talking about like Christian education in general? I think there'd be no way, and I kind of mentioned at the beginning, but there'd be no way for us to... There'd be no way for us to have the canon the way it is with, in my opinion, all of the numerous problems there already are in terms of us calling it perfect and all these things. There'd be no way to honestly bring another text. So like, I don't see a world in which Christian scholarship, mainstream Christian scholarship, ever says, okay, the Gospel of Judas is actually authentic. It's legitimate. There's no way for them to do that, even if it's true, because if you bring that in, you've now destroyed the structure that's been built throughout history. I just don't see it ever happening. And so I feel like it's like somebody who lies too much, and they lie so much to people around them that they can never get away from the lie. Even if they all realize everything is wrong, everything is a lie. They've built their entire house on a foundation of lies that you're stuck in now till you die. The Rev said the issue is that if you are taught all of Scripture first, then educated, you wouldn't believe in education. This applies to audience, relevancy, and when Scripture applies to us. Maybe it's just me. I'm having a hard time. Maybe I just need you to define education. What is this specific education we're talking about? Because I feel like I agree with what you're saying. I think it's a semantic issue that I'm having. Where have you been digging into these books? I think I agree with you. I think I'm having a hard time with the way that you're wording it, though. 12. The disciples said to Jesus, "We know that you are going to leave us. Who will be our leader?" Jesus said back, "No matter where you are to go to James the just, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being." That's a pretty hot verse. Jesus said to his disciples, "Compare me to something and tell me what I am like." Compare me to something and tell me what I am like. Simon Peter said to him, "You are like a just angel." Matthew said to him, "You are like a wise philosopher." Thomas said to him, "Teacher, my mouth is utterly unable to say what you are like." Jesus said, "I am not your teacher, because you have become intoxicated from the babbling spring that I have tended." I'll come back. And he took him and withdrew and spoke 3 sayings to him. When Thomas came back to his friends, they asked him, "What did Jesus say to you?" Thomas said to them, "If I tell you one of the sayings he spoke to me, you will pick up rocks and stone me, and fire will come out of the rocks and devour you." I'm going to reread this because this is one of the, in my opinion, it's one of the hottest, most fundamental sections of this text. And it's really, really, really interesting. So pay attention. So Jesus comes in and he says, "Compare me to something and tell me what I am like. Tell me who I am." So Simon Peter says, "You're like an angel." Matthew says, "You're like a wise philosopher." Thomas says, "I have no idea. My mouth could not possibly utter what you are like." So Jesus said, "I'm not your teacher because you're drunk. You have become intoxicated from the babbling spring that I have tended." Jesus, the babbling spring. A lot of interpretations of this are that he's talking about the parables from the Gospels. That all these plain speaking that he was doing for people who were not spiritually enlightened enough to understand what he was talking about. And so he took him and withdrew and spoke 3 sayings to him, meaning Jesus took Thomas into private, into secret, and spoke 3 sayings to Thomas in secret. When Thomas came back to his buddies, to Matthew and Simon Peter, they asked him, "What did Jesus say?" Thomas's response is wild. "If I tell you one of the sayings he spoke to me, you will pick up rocks and stone me, and fire will come from the rocks and devour you." So the insinuation is whatever Jesus told him would be considered sacrilegious, would be considered heresy. or other similar words to that. They would cause problems. It's a pretty insane, it's an insane thing to propose. It's a pretty insane idea. Very interesting. TikTok, go to YouTube. Okay. Well, Go said, Rev, are you saying the apocryphal books are like higher grades in school that can't be learned until the lower grades are understood? I'm trying to understand. If that's the case, I agree. He said, yeah, you're following me, I think. But most importantly, it's history that needs to be checked, not scripture. Scripture being the true history, such as to understand. Yeah, I think we're in agreement then. The history, this is obviously, because I'm very annoying about it, this is my entire gripe, is the history's been corrupt since the very, very beginning. The Rev said he's basically talking about idolatry. They titled him based on their idolizing of Jesus. Thomas spoke truth when he said he didn't know. It's basically saying it's better to admit defeat than not to. That's an interesting way to interpret that. I assume you're just talking about verse 13, the beginning half of it. So A out of 13. I wouldn't apply that to the end, to sub verse 6, 7, or 8, but I definitely would to the first ones. Celtic Spirit Coven. Congratulations, the largest traditional witchcraft. What? Okay.
They were in the chat like last month.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think that same message, it feels like a Groundhog's Day. Linda. Have a seat. Okay. So 13 is one of a few of my favorite sections because there's a super heavy insinuation to it, and it's pretty beautiful. And then when you add the rest of it, you can attempt to interpret it more, but I would challenge anybody to try to find a scholar to interpret 13 and then find another one and see just how difficult how difficult it is for scholarship to try to interpret it in a cohesive way. 14. Jesus said to them, if you fast, you will bring sin upon yourselves. And if you pray, you will be condemned. And if you give to charity, you will harm your spirits. When you go into any region and walk about in the countryside, when people take you in, eat what they serve and heal the sick among them. After all, what goes in your mouth won't defile you. What comes out of your mouth will. Jesus said, when you see one who was not born of a woman, fall on your face and worship. That one is your father. This is another one that is very funny to try to listen to somebody interpret. When you see one who is not born of a woman, fall on your face and worship. That one is your father. Jesus said, perhaps people think that I have come to cast peace upon the world. They do not know that I have come to cast conflicts upon the earth. Fire, sword, war. For there will be 5 in a house. There will be 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. Father against son and son against father. And they will stand alone. Jesus said, I will give you what no eye has seen and no ear has heard, what no hand has touched, what has not arisen in the human heart. The disciples said to Jesus, tell us, how will our end come? Jesus said, have you found the beginning, then, that you are looking for the end? You see, the end will be where the beginning is. Congratulations to the one who stands at the beginning. That one will know the end and will not taste death. That's another good one. So it's 18:2. If anyone is taking notes to drive themselves crazy later. 18:2. It's another very common one. S. Mill said Elaine Pagels thinks the 3 secret sayings were that Jesus said that God is in all of us, so we are all divine. Yeah, she's fabulous. And her texts are also fabulous. That's a great source. The Elaine Pagels, what Esmil just mentioned. If you are interested in the Gnostic stuff, that's a phenomenal scholar. She's absolutely fabulous. Big fan. Witchcraft Coven. That's a new one. What? Oh, got it. I'm with it now. The Reb said, it's better not to pray than pray and think you're saved and then proceed out to sin again and more through the error of being saved by prayer. Like it's better to not eat than to eat too much. Yes. Yeah. Don't do that, even that which is okay to do if it's going to cause you to sin. Yeah, so there's a bit of a mirror there to, is it 2 Corinthians? I believe. Could be first. With Paul has a very similar section with that same concept. The doing, not doing principle. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. The doing, not doing principle. It's I think it's a bit damning for the grace alone perspective. Elaine Pagel says 18 is about realizing we were all one with God in the beginning and male and female undivided, and that is where we will end. Yes, and there is definitely more of that throughout the rest of the gospel, namely the very end. And that's not just her. So that's a decent bit of from what I understand of the scholarship on these types of texts. And I don't even know if mainstream Christianity would disagree with this. I think it's just something they don't think about. The idea that we're all one with God in the beginning and male and female was undivided. I think if you really had deep conversations with normal Christians, I don't know if they would say in the beginning male and female existed, like outside of creation, prior to creation. I think it's just one of those things nobody talks about. It's the question that never gets asked, so it's a conversation that never gets had. Jesus said, congratulations to the one who came into being before coming into being. If you become my disciples and pay attention to my sayings, these stones will serve you. For there are 5 trees in paradise for you. They do not change summer or winter, and their leaves do not fall. Whoever knows them will not taste death. The disciples said to Jesus, tell us what heaven's imperial rule is like. He said to them, it's like a mustard seed. It's the smallest of all seeds, but when it falls on prepared soil, it produces a large branch and becomes a shelter for the birds of the sky. Mary said to Jesus, what are your disciples like? They are like little children living in a field that is not theirs. When the owner of the field comes, they will say, give us back our field. They take off their clothes in front of them in order to give it back to them, and they return their field to them. For this reason, I say, if the owner of a house know that a thief is coming, they will be on guard before the thief arrives, and will not let the thief break into their house, their domain, and steal their possessions. As for you, then, be on guard against the world. Prepare yourselves with great strength, so the robbers can't find a way to get to you, for the trouble you expect will come. Let there be among you a person who understands. When the crop ripened, he came quickly carrying a sickle and harvested it. Anyone here with 2 good ears had better listen. Jesus saw some babies nursing. He said to his disciples, these nursing babies are like those who enter the Father's domain. They said to him, then shall we enter the Father's domain as babies? Jesus said to them, when you make the 2 into 1, and when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, and when you make male and female into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, when you make eyes in place of an eye, a hand in place of a hand, a foot in place of a foot, an image in place of an image, then you will enter the Father's domain. Jesus said, I shall choose you, 1 from 1,000, and 2 from 10,000. And they will stand as a single one. His disciples said, show us the place where you are, for we must seek it. He said to them, anyone here with 2 ears had better listen. There is light within a person of light, and it shines on the whole world. If it does not shine, then it is dark. referencing fractals. For sure, in a sense, right? I wouldn't have really thought about it like that, but yeah.
It's a few verses back. I'm sorry, I didn't.
You were talking about
21, maybe?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, 21. The longer section.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally see what you're saying. I wouldn't have thought about it like that, but yeah, I would totally agree. The Rev, kind of like my concept of universal neutrality. What was that about? Spirit's Coven. Do you know that demons aren't afraid of Allah or Muhammad? They make fun of them. We come as a mediator and a listener of stories. I suppose. Yeah. I'm not going to push that any further. 25, 24? 24. His disciples said, "Show us the place where you are, or we must seek it." He said to them, "Anyone here with 2 ears had better listen." I already read this, but I'll keep going. "There is light within a person of light, and it shines on the whole world. If it does not shine, it is dark." Verse 25, Jesus said, "Love your friends like your own soul. Protect them like the pupil of your eye." 26, Jesus said, "You see the silver in your friend's eye, but you don't see the timber in your own eye. When you take the timber out of your own eye, then you will see well enough to remove the sliver from your friend's eye." I think I said silver in the beginning. Sliver, the sliver. Hopefully everybody knows that verse. 27, but a good example of total mirror, absolute mirror. And a lot of it is. And some of it is a mirror, but said in a different way. But the message is the same. The principle is the same. And then it's kind of sprinkled with these ones that are oddities, different, outliers. "If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the Father's domain. If you do not observe the Sabbath day as a Sabbath day, you will not see the Father." Jesus said, "I took my stand in the midst of the world, and in flesh I appeared to them. I found them all drunk, and I did not find any of them thirsty. My soul ached for the children of humanity, because they are blind in their hearts and do not see. For they came into the world empty, and they also seek to depart from the world empty. But meanwhile, they are drunk. When they shake off their wine, then they will change their ways." Jesus said, "If the flesh came into being because of the spirit, that is a marvel. But if spirit came into being because of the body, that is a marvel of marvels. Yet I marvel at how this great wealth has come to dwell in this poverty." Jesus said, "Where there are 3 deities, they are divine. Where there are 2 or 1, I am with that one." Another really interesting one to look into if you get some time and want to go down the rabbit hole. That was verse 30. Verse 30. The carpenter's son. Matthew 13:33. The books removed are the Third Testament. Which books removed, or do you mean all of them? Or the set Catholic Apocrypha specify? I'm curious. "The Comforter will come and lead you into all truth." True enough. 31. Jesus said, "No prophet is welcome on his home turf. Doctors don't cure those who know them." The carpenter's son said, "All of them." My man. I'm with you on that. Jesus said, "A city built on a high hill and fortified cannot fall, nor can it be hidden." I'm sorry, fortified. A city built on a high hill and fortified cannot fall, nor can it be hidden. Jesus said, "What you will hear in your ear, in the other ear proclaim from your rooftops. After all, no one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket, nor does one put it in a hidden place. Rather, one puts it on a lampstand so that all who come and go will see its light." Jesus said, "If a blind person leads a blind person, both of them will fall into a hole." Sound advice. Jesus said, "One can't enter a strong man's house and take it by force without tying his hands. Then one can loot his house." That's a second thievery comparison we've had. The super gospel free on YouTube is over 100. What do you mean? I will take a look when we're done, though. Jesus said, "Don't fret from morning to evening and from evening to morning about what you're going to wear. Don't fret about what you're going to wear." His disciples said, "When will you appear to us? And when will we see you?" Jesus said back, "When you strip without being ashamed, and you take your clothes and put them under your feet like little children and trample them, then you will see the Son of the Living One, and you will not be afraid." Jesus said, "Often you have desired to hear these sayings that I am speaking to you, and you have no one else from whom to hear them. There will be days when you will seek me, and you will not find me." That is very reminiscent of certain sections of the canonical New Testament. Wait, what? Apocrypha means hidden. It used to be called, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, which means profitable writings. Yeah, the Apocrypha is just, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning, so I guess you can rewind. So the normal understanding by most Christians is the text that the Protestants rejected and the Catholics kept, but the Apocrypha would technically refer to all of this that's outside of the canon. I suppose besides obvious forgeries and things that don't quite relate. A similar kind of example, I guess, would be something like Mormonism, where it gets pulled very, very far away from the original mark. S-Mill says OnlyFans? Oh, because of the clothes verse. "To him who overcomes religion will I give to eat of the hidden manna," or Apocrypha. S-Mill said, "Take off all your clothes and not be ashamed," equals OnlyFans. I suppose you're not wrong, but I don't know if that quite aligns with what he was trying to say. But yes, on his face, I suppose. Lonely fans. That is the fate of all creators on there. Jesus said, "The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them." The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. One more time for good measure, because I think this is very interesting to consider today. The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as sly as snakes and as simple as doves. Jesus said, "A grapevine has been planted apart from the Father. Since it is not strong, it will be pulled up by its roots and will perish." Jesus said, Wes Huff, what about him? Not a fan, personally. Jesus said, "Those who have something in hand will be given more, and those who have nothing will be deprived of even the little they have." Jesus said, "Be passer-by. Be passer-by." 43, his disciples said to him, "Who are you to say these things to us? You don't understand who I am from what I say to you. Rather, you have become like the Judeans. For they love the tree, but hate its fruit. Or they love the fruit, but hate the tree." It's a very relevant one as well, in principle, but said different. Similar to things we were taught, but said in a different way.
Hey, Joe,
Yes.
do you think that means wanting to have your cake and eat it too?
Yes, I do.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, I think that's right on. And there's been a few of those already. And there's been, there was at least one that was pretty direct. And then there was another one that was more indirect. And I think this one's just kind of an indirect way to say it too.
I think that part of human nature is the origin of all human conflict from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, I would totally
Personally.
agree. Yeah, everything kind of stems from that.
But
Spirit's Coven, he is talking about those who do not know the message and who attempt to teach others. This is a statement about women and atheists. All who don't receive him cannot teach. Out of 34, you say? That was, Jesus said, if a blind person leading a blind person, both of them will fall into a hole. Are you sure? Explain more. I don't agree. But I'm wondering if maybe that was just the wrong verse. A blind person leads a blind person, both of them fall into a hole. I don't know if I would look at that the same way you are. But there's nothing wrong with it. The carpenter's son said modern day Pharisee Wes Huff. Oh, then yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, I guess, but I'm not a fan. But he's no worse than any of the rest of them. He just kind of got famous recently. I think he's good intentioned. I know for a fact he's way smarter and more educated than me. But I think he's just like everybody else, and they've been captured by whoever taught them what they know. And it's so obvious to see. Like, it's so apparent because they're all pigeonholed into this one way of looking at all of these topics. And I just can't grasp it. Like, how narrow-minded. I can't imagine looking at the world that way. I can't imagine trying to approach these, either these scriptures or even the tradition or the history. I can't imagine approaching it that narrow. But you can just tell, because there's another Wes Huff who was taught by a different scholar. And so he has the same problem, but looking in a different direction. And you just see it all across the scholarly board. And it's very unfortunate because there are very few scholars who are 100% open and honest. They're the guys on YouTube that get 200 views on their videos. It's very sad. Check out the Apocryphile 1970. He wrote the Super Gospel, which is full infancy gospel. Jesus saving the saints in the underworld gospel of Nicodemus and much more. I will definitely look into that because this is something I have not heard of. Thank you for that. Yes, he's like Peter, good intentions, but still denied Jesus 3 times, 4th, 16th, and 21st century. I'm not quite sure where that came from. Esmo said Wes Huff uses weak apologetics as if they are foolproof, and he gets spanked a lot for it. Yeah, all the time. I'm going through it. He did a 7-minute video trying to prove that the Gospel of Mark calls Jesus God in every chapter. And the Gospel of Mark, in my opinion, it calls Jesus God never. So I'm kind of breaking that apart right now. And it's just really odd. It's really odd. There's great case to say Jesus was never called God at all, going through all of the Gospels. Never directly. But to say Mark, which was the least of all, to me is just wild. And hearing him talk about it is just, it's like, it's just cringy. Because I don't know if you're just lying or if you're really just, you were taught that narrow. And so you really just believe in it that much. It's so interesting to me. Guys who are 1,000 times smarter than I will ever be, who just get stuck in on this tiny little railroad track and just can't get off of it. It makes me mad because I'm like, man, if I was as smart as you, if I had the brain that you have, like what could be accomplished in scholarship? I feel like we could have solved all kinds of problems by now. Tampa said, what's true is rarely popular and what's popular is rarely true. Yeah, you said that recently and I love that. I think that's great. Jesus said, grapes are not harvested from thorn trees, nor are figs gathered from thistles, for they yield no fruit. Good persons produce good from what they've stored up. Bad persons produce evil from the wickedness they've stored up in their hearts, and say evil things. For from the overflow of the heart they produce evil. We are on 46 now, for anybody who's keeping track. Jesus said, from Adam to John the Baptist, among those born of women, no one is so much greater than John the Baptist, that his eyes should not be averted. But I have said that whoever among you becomes a child will recognize the Father's imperial rule and will become greater than John. This is another wild rabbit hole to go down, if you ever decide to. The John the Baptist rabbit hole. I think we were intentionally lied to about John the Baptist, and there is so much more to that gentleman than nor modern Christian culture, mainstream Christian culture, has ever cared to talk about. It's a very, very interesting rabbit hole. Very interesting. And eventually, I'm sure we'll talk about it. 47. Jesus said, a person cannot mount two horses or bend two bows, and a slave cannot serve two masters. Otherwise, that slave will honor the one and offend the other. Nobody drinks aged wine and immediately wants to drink young wine. Young wine is not poured into old wineskins, or they might break. And aged wine is not poured into new wineskins, or it might spoil. An old patch is not sewn onto a new garment, since it would create a tear. I've always loved this one too. It's one I wish was in the canon, because I just think it's very well said. It's an interesting message that's being taught. 48. Jesus said, if two make peace with each other in a single house, they will say to the mountain, move from here, and it will move. Jesus talks about that. Paul talks about that in the canon. Jesus said, congratulations to those who are alone and chosen, for you will find the Father's domain. For you have come from it, and you will return there again. Carpenter's son said, thank you for reading this. It's one of my favorite books. I am with you on that, man. I am with you. I love this. I love Judas. I'm a big fan of the heretical texts. Big fan. 47b is in the canon. 47. It's said different though. The wording is different. Yeah, the same story. I believe, unless I'm remembering wrong. If you have it, throw it out there. I thought that this was similar thing, but told in a different way. I could be wrong though. If it's mirrored, then I'm dead wrong. Different wording. Okay. 48. Yeah, 48. Jesus said, if two make peace with each other in a single house, they will say to the mountain, move. Oh, we already read that. 49. 49. Jesus said, congratulations. We read that too. Where the heck are we? 50? 50. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? Say to them, we have come from the light, from the place where the light came into being by itself, establish itself, and appear in their image. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children, and we are the chosen of the living Father. If they ask you, what is the evidence of your Father in you? Say to them, it is motion and rest. Very interesting. His disciples said to him, when will the rest of the dead take place? And when will the new world come? He said to them, what are you looking forward to? What you are looking forward to has come, but you don't know it. Pretty hot. 52. His disciples said to him, 24 prophets have spoken in Israel, and they all spoke of you. He said to them, you have disregarded the living one who is in your presence, and you have spoken of the dead. His disciples said to him, is circumcision useful or not? He said to them, if it were useful, their father would produce children already circumcised from their mother. Rather, the true circumcision in spirit has become profitable in every respect. You gotta love that too, because that's very direct and very much seems as a response to things that were going on. That was 53 about circumcision. Yeah, S. Mill, I'm with you on that. Motion and rest, how obscure. He's talking about, which verse was that? 50. Go says, motion rest equals oscillation and vibration. How interesting, because language like that is not common in texts like this. Shabbat shalom, my beloved brethren. Hey there, honeymoon. Okay, so circumcision. I love that. 53 is very interesting. It's a very obvious cultural response to me. 54. Jesus said, congratulations to the poor, for to you belongs heaven's domain. Jesus said, whoever does not hate, oh, this is a good one. Strap in. Strap in. This is one of the handful that are really, really good. So hold on. Okay. 55. Jesus said, whoever does not hate father and mother cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not hate brothers and sisters and carry the cross as I do will not be worthy of me. It's part one to a two-part of this. Oddity, I think is the word we were using in the beginning. Oddity. Hate father and mother. Yes, in the canon, there's a similar thing, but it gets more wild. So just stay tuned. 56. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass. And whoever has discovered a carcass of that person, the world is not worthy. Motion equals works, Tampa said. Ghost said, I think motion and rest applies to the nature of reality, duality, etc. S. Mill said, Middle Platonism taught that motion was of the flesh and rest was of the Father, the one, the source. Yes, so there's a decent Gnostic undertone to that, for sure. In my opinion, for sure. 57. The Father's imperial rule is like a person who had good seed. His enemy came during the night and sowed weeds among the good seed. The person did not let the workers pull up the weeds, but said to them, no, otherwise you might go to pull up the weeds and pull up the wheat along with them. For on the day of the harvest, the weeds will be conspicuous and will be pulled up and burned. Another interesting one. Jesus said, congratulations to the person who has toiled and has found life. Jesus said, look to the living one as long as you live. Otherwise, you might die and then try to see the living one, and you will be unable to see. He saw a Samaritan carrying a lamb and going to Judea. He said to his disciples, missing text, that person, missing text, around the lamb. So there's a bit of a fragment there. This is a part of the same verse. They said to him, so that he may kill it and eat it. He said to them, he will not eat it while it is alive, but only after he has killed it, and it has become a carcass. They said, otherwise he can't do it. He said to them, so also with you, seek for yourselves a place of rest, or you might become a carcass and be eaten. My people are destroyed for lack of gnosis. Yes. I like the carpenter's son. I'm glad you're here. I hope you stick around. I guess real quick, because I didn't do this in the beginning. We have a Discord. If you or anybody who's watching this later is interested, there's a link pinned to the top of the live chat. There's a link in the description of the video. We do a handful of these every week. So Saturday is non-canonical. Sunday is canonical. Tuesday is a topic discussion on a different YouTube channel. So we have this one that we're watching right now, live Bible study, and then we have mine, which is at Tattooed Theist. All the Bible studies are here, but the Tuesday discussion is we run a poll, and whatever wins the poll is what we talk about. So you guys would appreciate this. Some of the recent stuff we've done is like, what is Gnosticism? Marcion, the historicity of the Gospels, stuff like that. That's Tuesday on a different YouTube channel, but if you come to Discord, each event has the proper link. So come check that out. And then Thursday we're reading the Book of Giants, which is it's a mix really of Enoch and the Book of Giants. But Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday we do this. But two different YouTube channels, so Discord's the easiest way to keep up. But it's been good to have you. I'm glad you're here. You've thrown out a lot of good stuff. Spirits Coven said, but Jesus came to be the division, to divide the son and the father, the daughter from the mother. Yes. Yes. The blunt nature of the verse, if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, where I said there's a part A and a part B to a certain thing, just wait till the part B. Because, yeah, the part A is very reminiscent of what is talked about in the canon. The part B, I'd say, is a little bit of an oddity, if we're sticking to that verbiage. 61. Jesus said, two will recline on a couch. One will die, one will live. Salome said, "Who are you, mister? You have climbed onto my couch and eaten from my table as if you are from someone." Jesus said to her, "I am the one who comes from what is whole. I was granted from the things of my Father. I am your disciple. For this reason I say, if one is whole, one will be filled with light. But if one is divided, one will be filled with darkness." 62. Jesus said, "I disclose my mysteries to those who are worthy of my mysteries. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." Jesus said, "There was a rich man who had a great deal of money. He said, 'I shall invest my money so that I may sow, reap, plant, and fill my storehouses with produce, that I may lack nothing.' These were the things he was thinking in his heart, but that very night he died. Anyone here with 2 ears had better listen." Jesus said, "Someone was receiving guests. When he had prepared the dinner, he sent his slave to invite the guests. The slave went to the first and said, 'My master invites you.' The first replied, 'Some merchants owe me money. They are coming to me tonight. I have to go and give them instructions. Please excuse me from dinner.' The slave went to another and said, 'My master has invited you.' The second said to the slave, 'I have bought a house, and I have been called away for a day. I shall have no time.' The slave went to another and said, 'My master has invited you.' The third said to the slave, 'My friend is to be married, and I am to arrange a banquet. I shall not be able to come. Please excuse me from dinner.' The slave went to yet another and said, 'My master invites you.' The fourth said to the slave, 'I have bought an estate, and I am going to collect the rent. I shall not be able to come. Please excuse me.' The slave returned and said to the master, 'Those whom you invited to dinner have asked to be excused.' The master said to the slave, 'Go out on the streets and bring back whoever you find to have dinner. Buyers and merchants will not enter the places of my Father.'" The interpretation of that is very interesting. It's very not easy. It's very deep. This is what I would call obscure. The story there in 64. Esmil says Gentiles. Spirit Coven said maybe more context is needed. If the father of the home doesn't believe, but his son does, the father is cut off, the same as everyone else, because knowing Jesus is the division like sword. For sure. And I think that's a part of it. I'm just saying I'm saying directly in this text, there is more, period. But then you could broaden that, like there's more to the principle under it in a more broad sense. But I just mean in this text alone, there's more on that topic that is not quite cohesive with the canon, in my opinion. Carpenter's son said, "This has to do with the pearl of great price. Say more." Esmil, Gentiles, and Samaritans. Okay. Denominational thinking instead of understanding the one true teaching. Yes, but what is the one true teaching? That's the thing, my friend. That's the thing. 65. He said, a person owned a vineyard and rented it to some farmers so they could work and it could collect its crops from them. He sent his slave so the farmers would give him the vineyard's crop. They grabbed him, beat him, and almost killed him. And the slave returned and told his master. He said, perhaps he didn't know them. He sent another slave, and the farmers beat that one as well. Then the master sent his son and said, perhaps they'll show my son some respect. Because the farmers knew that he was the heir to the vineyard, they grabbed him and killed him. Anyone here with 2 ears had better listen. Got it. Got it. 66. Jesus said, show me the stone that the builders rejected. That is the keystone. Jesus said, those who know all but are lacking in themselves are utterly lacking. Jesus said, congratulations to when you are hated and persecuted, and no place will be found wherever you have been persecuted. Jesus said, Congratulations to those who have been persecuted in their hearts. They are the ones who have truly come to know the Father. Congratulations to those who go hungry, so the stomach of the one in want may be filled. Jesus said, if you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you. Jesus said, I will destroy this house, and no one will be able to build it. And then there's a there's missing text at the end of that. 72, a person said to him, tell my brothers to divide my father's possessions with me. He said to the person, Mister, who made me a divider? He turned to his disciples and said to them, I am not a divider, am I? There's a bit more on that division topic. Jesus said, the crop is huge, but the workers are few. So beg the harvest boss to dispatch workers to the fields. And I'm going to have to start wrapping there. So right around 70, there's 114 of these, and they just get better. So we will hit it again next week. Next week too, because we'll probably finish all that. I'll also pull up everything we know about the Gospel of Thomas. So we'll talk a little bit about like the Nag Hammadi library and all that fun stuff, just to fill the rest of the time. And then if there's anything specific we want to talk about, we can do that too. But I definitely don't have time to run through the rest of it tonight. So we'll stop there. Next week we'll finish, and we will do just some of the history, some of the backstory and whatnot. And then tomorrow we are Book of Job, 6 p.m. Central Time. Let's see. The books removed, the carpenter's son said. The books removed, Jews 30, Christians 60, elect 120. The elect understand the fullness, the 3 testaments. The Comforter will come and lead you into all truth. Jesus is the tribe of Judah on the Levitical breastplate, top right corner. Satan said, take these 2 stones, or testaments, and make them bread. Jesus said, man doesn't live on bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of God. Divinity is within you. Ask, what was that in relation to? Or was it? I assume it was, though. Ooh, I missed this earlier. Jesus came to sort the filter or door to the Father. Okay, I see where that came from. The other thing too, if the other thing too, Tuesday on the other YouTube channel, we're doing hell, because that was coming up a lot the past week or so. And then Ghost, was there another topic that I'm not remembering? Because it was reincarnation, it was hell, and I can't remember if that was it or if there was a third. But I know hell for sure. So we'll do hell on Tuesday. And then if any of you guys remember what one of the other topics that kept coming up in conversation was.
I think it was purgatory.
Purgatory. That's right. Thank you. Okay. Got it. I'll add that. Then, shoot, were we going to do that and not hell? We were going to do purgatory, huh? And then I guess hell is kind of a part of that to a degree. We'll do purgatory. Okay, thanks, Tampa. So Tuesday will be purgatory. So any of you guys who are not normally with us, I'd recommend joining Discord, because then you can follow all the schedule much easier. But if you don't, at least go to the other YouTube channel we use. I'll throw it in there for you. Because every Tuesday, it's the only stream that is not on this YouTube channel. But it's Tuesday and it's a topic discussion. And so this week, it'll be on purgatory. And I'm sure we'll talk about hell a little bit and probably heaven a little bit. But specifically purgatory. That's right. That's what we kept getting off topic talking about. Hiroshima. Okay, I feel like I missed something there. Oh, S-Mill, I gotcha. Okay, out of 70 there. Jesus said, if you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you. I wonder, S-Mill, do you think there's a bit of the... do you think there's a bit of the three-tiered approach of people in that the Gnostics have? The first being kind of the NPC, the empty person, the animal. Two being somebody who is capable of spiritual enlightenment, but only to a certain point. There's a threshold they can't quite cross. And then the third being people who are truly capable of quote-unquote gnosis. Do you think there's relation to that in verse 70? I think I kind of lean that way. Thank you all. Thank you for allowing the devil into your pew. We didn't troll or hate. Can we come back? Sure. Sure. I don't think we've banned anybody. I don't think anything has ever gotten crazy enough to ban anybody. So no. And hopefully that never happens. We seem to draw mostly nice people. Bro, have me on. I have so much on hell. Well, you are welcome to come. That's on Tuesday. Well, I guess it's purgatory. It's purgatory. But we'll definitely talk about hell a bit. And then we'll do hell separately. So come Tuesday, we'll do purgatory. It's 7 p.m. Central Time on not this YouTube channel. On the other one I put in the chat, at Tattoo Theist. Easy way to follow, though, is just get in Discord. And then the events tab, whatever day it is, use that link. Live Bible study, at Tattoo Theist, live Bible study, live Bible study. But if you come Tuesday, help us out with purgatory, and then maybe we'll make hell the following Tuesday. Because hell was the other thing we were talking a lot about the other day. I'm down for that. And if you come Tuesday and then you hang out in Discord for the next week, I'm sure if nothing crazy happens, we'd be happy to bring you on. Jesus here for the humbled. The SH is gone. I have no idea what that means. If you wish to clarify. And I totally did the wrong thing. Here is the other YouTube channel. I'm an idiot. I apologize. That's the other YouTube channel. Yeah, and that's much more unhinged. We watch our P's and Q's here. We do not on the other one. The Discord link is at the top of the live chat. It says, join our community, and then has a me6.xyz link. It is not a virus, I promise. You can also go to theistthesis.com, and it should just open the Discord link. It should bring you right to it. Medieval Irish Apocrypha has 11th century people who died and went to purgatory and hell and heaven. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I hope you're there on Tuesday. I hope you come on Tuesday. I hope we have Tuesday to get to know you a little bit more. And I hope you're in Discord for the next week. And then I'd be happy to do specifically hell the following Tuesday and bring you up on The Voice if you're down. The more knowledge, the better, man. I have, the narrow things that I kind of know a little bit about. And it's an endless world of things that I don't know anything about at all. So it'd be fantastic to get some more voices and opinions and more education. It'd be great. That's an interpretation, or they have never drank of the cup is the other. I missed what oh, okay, never mind. You're still talking about 70. I suppose, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. The what is this? Sacred Word Publishing Books, $25. Sacred Word Publishing Books. What is that? Sacred Word Publishing Books. Is there anything specific on there? It looks like just a publisher. They have quite a bit. They have the Enochian calendar, free resources. This is pretty cool. Here. So you should be able to see it now. This is what the Carpenter's son just threw in there. So they've got books. Yeah, I mean, this is the other side of Christianity, man. If you're interested in this stuff, it looks decent. Radio show, free resources. Ah, cool. I'm going to look through it later. Appreciate it. It's all good stuff. The Gnostic Bible, the Apocalypse of Abraham, and Ascension of Isaiah. The Final Case Against Lucifer, the complete Dead Sea Scrolls. Transformation of America. The Codex Sinaiticus. Ah, good stuff. Good stuff. I'll definitely look through it. Tell Ham tribe to be grateful at judgment. Brother, I have no idea what you're talking about. Mind slaves. I don't understand when sometimes people just roll by and just drop incoherent, like fragmented sentences. If you're going to go through the trouble, why not express what it is you want to express? YouTube gives you what, 180 characters or something to say what you want to say? Get it out. Carpenter's son said, I don't get paid just passing info. I didn't think you did. No. It looks like good stuff. Medieval Irish Apocrypha, if you want it. He won a flat earth court case. What, who? Wait. I want more on that. Because you weren't here, but this last week we talked a lot about me going down a few different rabbit holes. One of which was at least adjacent to flat earth. So who is that? Who won a flat earth court case? I'm very interested in that. Carpenter's son said, used to follow the Grateful Dead, broke his neck in an accident, and is a paraplegic. He wrote Lucifer, Father of Cain, taught me much of what I know. Oh, Zen. Zen won a flat earth court case. It's on YouTube. Okay, so Zen Garcia. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to look into that. You have officially won my interest on that. Very curious now to see what that was all about. Okay. All right. Done. I will definitely take a peek. Anything else, y'all, before we call it a night? How do you win a court case? Okay, I'll watch the video. I'll watch the video. Now I just want to know how that worked, logistically, judicially. How did that happen? Yeah, it was good to have you. All right, any last burning desires, whatever, throw them out now. Otherwise, if you haven't joined Discord, it's free. It'll always be free. Use the events tab on Discord to know what time, because they're different times, and what YouTube channel, because they're different YouTube channels that we're doing stuff on. And then just get used to the Discord model. But really, really, really good people over there. And then tomorrow on this channel, we're doing the Book of Job. And then Tuesday, doing Purgatory. I already forgot again. Purgatory. And then we'll probably do Hell the following week. Good stuff. Good stuff. Love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys. Everybody have a wonderful evening.